Welcome to Advocate Today. I'm Aaron Dean. We begin in Florida, where the NAACP is warning Black and LGBTQ plus Americans about traveling to the state of Florida. The organization issued a travel advisory for the state, saying that it is in direct response to the DeSantis administration's aggressive attempts to erase Black history and to restrict diversity, equity, and inclusion programs in Florida schools. NAACP Broward County President Marsha Ellison says that the state is going in the wrong direction.
The fact that African Americans certainly are dying, that our history is being erased, and that we are shown to have little value is not a stunt to us. The fight for our very lives is obviously at the top of the agenda. And so what we want to do is with this NAACP advisory is to advise anyone who's traveling to Florida or who is even thinking about it to know about the hostile and racist policies that have been put into place by Governor DeSantis and his supporters.
Governor Ron DeSantis is expected to announce his presidential campaign, which could place Florida's discriminatory policies on the national stage. Well, another Republican is joining the presidential race. South Carolina Senator Tim Scott announced his bid in his hometown of North Charleston. He's the only Black Republican in the Senate. The 57-year-old politician's career began in 1995 when he won a seat on the Charleston City Council, a position that he kept for nearly 15 years. After one term as a state lawmaker, Scott won a U.S. House seat representing South Carolina's 1st District. He was then appointed to the U.S. Senate in 2012. He retained a seat in a 2014 special election, was re-elected to a full term in 2016, and later won for a 3rd time last year. In Tennessee, Governor Bill Lee is passing 3 more anti-LGBTQ plus bills. The state is leading the country in pushing forward this kind of legislation. The measures were approved by the state legislature, and one of the bills aimed to restrict transgender students participating in school sports, while another allows businesses to deny services to LGBTQ plus individuals based on religious beliefs. Advocacy groups and activists argued that these bills promote discrimination and infringe upon the rights of the LGBTQ plus community. The controversial move has started a nationwide debate on the importance of protecting marginalized communities. Well, Pride Month is right around the corner, and there's a ton of anticipation surrounding this year's marquee events. The LGBTQ plus advocacy organization Pride Live is hosting its annual Stonewall Day in New York. The multi-talented Angelica Ross will host. I had the honor of speaking to Angelica about what it means to stand up for LGBTQ plus rights amid all of these attacks. So can you tell us a little bit about your involvement with Stonewall Day 2023 and what it means to you to be this year's host?
It means so much to me because this is now, I think, my 3rd year now being sort of in relationship with Pride Live and with Stonewall Day. And it sort of just communicates that this is never been like sort of one-off situation, that there's been a developing relationship, not only with me as a community leader, but with my organization Trans Tech, and just like centering trans folks, both in the Stonewall Monument, the Visitor Center, as well as with wonderful events like Stonewall Day that's coming up.
And with your position as host, what do you hope to achieve with this year's event, particularly with the theme being Everyday Heroes?
I really do hope to, as always, when I come into a room and in a big space, as a big personality, my hope is to always be a great reflection to everyone there to realize that, yeah, I might be a little bit special, but I am truly just a reflection of all the power and all the talent already latent within our community if we just learn to tap into it. So I want to hopefully just be riding this big wave of synergy, celebrating Pride with so many people in New York City. Not to mention Christina Aguilera is going to be in the building. Oh my goodness.
That's going to be exciting. That is going to be exciting. So, could you share some of the insight into the significance of the Stonewall riots and why it's so important to commemorate them through events such as this one?
I think it's really important for us to sort of remember these times when we stood up and said no to the status quo. And that's something that Stonewall Day does. It reminds us that there was a time here, as much as it looks like we made progress, which we have made progress, but there was a time that is still reflective of times right now in America, especially if you don't live in a big city, where we are still being oppressed just for showing up in public spaces. They're trying to legislate us out of public existence. So I think this is a time for us to not only remember that we have been here before, but to also acknowledge the people who've been on the front lines then and are still on the front lines now, which, is Black and brown, trans, and queer people.
Right, exactly. And in addition to your acting and your singing, you are also the founder, like you said, of Trans Tech Social Enterprises. Now, how does your work with Trans Tech align with the mission of Pride Live, and how will it be showcased during the Stonewall Day?
Trans tech is all about sort of meeting people where they are, and at the intersection of technology with the resources and tools that they need in order to do the work that they need to do to show up. So, one of our members actually it was so beautiful because we called out to the community in partnership with Pride Live and the Stonewall Monument to have an artist design the first visitors member card that folks would be able to have. So, and it would also be in display within the center. So I can't wait to actually go and follow up. I haven't been since all of this change has happened, but I can't wait to be in person in New York and seeing the contributions of our community on display.
And like we had mentioned, we have a lot of artists that are coming, one being Christina Aguilera, but what else can we expect? What are some of the fun things that we can look forward to?
Well, what I think is really amazing is the organizers, I think, also listen to the fact that, we want to celebrate Pride, and we do have these artists that we love, like Christina Aguilera, who's been in such an incredible ally to the trans community. I mean, from times of her making music, of Find the Voice Within that helped me find my voice, to also the ways that she's shown up, and even Trans Tech has been a beneficiary of percentages of the profits from Christina Aguilera's Pride merchandise in partnership with Pride Live. But what's even more incredible is that the organizers have listened and included LGBTQ talent, because there is talent within our community that deserves to be on the main stage. Talent like Mila Jim, talent like the Betty, talent like so many others that are going to break that stage with us. So I'm super excited to share this stage with Christina Aguilera.
And as someone who's been a leading figure in the movement for transgender and racial equality, what advice do you have for individuals who may be watching, who want to be allies and want to support the LGBTQ plus community in their everyday lives?
Allyship is an action. Mm-hmm. And if you love us like you say you do, then we need you to show up for us. And sometimes what that looks like is it doesn't mean all the time some big, great action. Sometimes it's just speaking up in your everyday life, speaking up on your job, speaking up in the environments that you're in. When you hear something, say something that is uplifting and in support of trans people just being able to have autonomy, just like we're all looking for. I think that with allies, we can realize that regardless of how you identify, that we want to make sure that every child and every person has access to the pursuit of happiness, whatever that looks like for them.
Stonewall Day will take place June 23rd at Hudson Yards in New York City. With May being Mental Health Awareness Month, the toll of social media on kids is becoming an increased concern nationwide, and the U.S. Surgeon General is concerned that social media is contributing to the country's mental health crisis in youth. In an advisory, Dr. Vivek Murthy said that using sites like TikTok and Instagram presents a profound risk of harm for kids. The advisory cited several studies which found correlations between social media and depression, anxiety, poor sleep, online harassment, and low self-esteem. Murthy is calling for more research on the subject, and for families dealing with this, the advisory recommends creating media plans and encouraging kids to develop in-person friendships. And that's all the time we have for this Advocate today. You can find us wherever you stream or online at theadvocatechannel.com. I'm Aaron Dean, and I'm gonna see you next time.